Oh no, it's gone. Why? As soon as I got home, I couldn't help but to scream. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find my treasure, the $5,000 ring.
Oh, that expensive-looking one? My sister wanted it, so I gave it to her. Oh, it's fine, right?
No, it's not fine. That was given to me by my mother, and it's irreplaceable to me.
Oh, shut up. I'm the one who has been supporting you, so don't talk crap about my decisions. I'll divorce you if you don't quiet down, okay? I could leave you anytime I want to, you know? All you have to do is say, yes, I understand, and obey me.
I bit my lip and burst into tears at his arrogance. Fine, then if my husband Dan is going to go that far, then I also have an idea. He better not underestimate what I'm capable of. My name is Nora. I am a full-time housewife who turned 37 this year. I used to work as a nurse before I got married, but I quit my work when I got married at the request of my husband, Dan. Dan was working as a salesman for a company at the time of our marriage, but he recently changed his job. He now works from home. Since Dan and I share the same hometown, both our parents live nearby. And although we do not live together with Dan's parents or my parents, both of our parents live very close to where Dan and I live. And we have no kids. It's not that we didn't decide to have kids, but even after 10 years of marriage, we weren't blessed with a baby. After about 5 years of marriage, I went to the clinic once for a checkup and found no issues on my part. As for Dan, I don't even know if there is an issue or not because Dan has never gone to the clinic, no matter how many times I have urged him to do so. But I am not going to complain about it, nor am I going to force him to go to the clinic for a checkup. For my part, I would be happy if we could live a nice life together as a couple, even if we don't have kids. My parents also weren't the ones who would ask for grandkids every time we saw them, and leave the matter of having a baby to Dan and I. But my mother-in-law Lauren had a completely different view. She would come to my house unannounced and without telling me, and every time we saw each other, she would ask if I got pregnant yet with her grandchild. I could understand that she wanted to see her grandchild, but her constantly asking me about getting pregnant was stressing me out and was really getting to me. And Lauren also complains about my housework. Oh, Nora, what's with the way you fold the laundry? You're a housewife, so you should be more careful. What? Is there something wrong with it? I'm just doing it normally. Oh, you're always talking back. You're acting like that to Dan too, aren't you? No, no. You have to support your husband properly. If you can't do that, then you're not qualified enough to be his wife. Every time she would say anything, it would always go like that. It could be a small thing, but when they pile up, it becomes an unbearable pain. I have talked to Dan about it, but he just won't listen to me at all. And actually, even Dan was giving me a hard time. Hey, about your mother, I get really hurt when she says such terrible things to me, you know. You could at least talk to her about it.
You married me to be a family with me and to be my wife because you wanted to, right? Just listen to what my mom has to say. And why don't you just stop complaining and do the housework properly? I'm busy with work, but you're doing nothing.
Dan doesn't seem to want to get into trouble with Lauren, who is really stubborn, so he's always trying to make me feel guilty. And even though it was Dan who requested that I become a housewife, he would always look down on me and say that since I don't work, I'm not busy when I am busy with house chores. Just dealing with Laura and Dan is enough, but recently another problem has come up. And that was Dan's sister Justine. She has been my problem too recently. Justine is the same age as me, and she is also married. She lived within 30 minutes distance, but apparently she had a big fight with her husband, so she packed her bags and moved back to her parents' house. If that was all there is to it, there was nothing I could say anything about Justine. But just like Lauren, Justine would come to my house without any notice and goes through my house as if it was hers. Unlike Lauren, she has never said anything terrible to me, but anything she finds in our house, she always wants it, and every time she would ask me if she could have it, which was quite annoying. Hey, Natalie, this bag is really nice. Oh, I like these heels too. If I were you, I'd show them off to everyone. You have so many expensive looking things, why don't you give me at least one of them? Dan bought them for you anyways, didn't he? No, he didn't. I bought all of them with my own money a long time ago, and some with my savings after we got married. If you want them, why don't you buy them yourself? I don't have that kind of money, so that's why I'm asking you to give it to me. Oh, this ring is cute! And doesn't it fit my finger perfectly? I won't ask you for money, so please just give me this one. What Justine was looking at was a ring with diamonds on it. This ring was a precious thing that my mother had given me when I got married. My mother had told me that it costed about $5,000. But how much it costed was irrelevant at this point. I was happy that my mother thought of me and gave me this ring. So it's only natural that there was no way I could give up a precious ring, which was also my treasure. When I firmly refused, Justine had a sulky attitude and said, "Oh, fine," and then she left the house angrily. I then decided to move the ring out of the drawer and put it into the bedroom closet, just in case. This way, the next time someone looks into my dresser, they wouldn't know where I put the ring. If I went this far, Justine would surely give up on the ring as well. And that day I had gone to a nearby supermarket to buy ingredients for dinner. Normally, I would go home as soon as I bought what I wanted, but I happened to run into one of my neighbors, so we talked to catch up for about 30 minutes. After that, I was able to go back home without any incident, but as soon as I entered the living room, I felt somewhat strange. The arrangement of the furniture seemed to have changed somehow. And it wasn't just the living room. Things in the bedroom and the room which is used for storage looked like it was moved around. The first thing that came to my mind was Dan's presence. If there had been a burglary, Dan, who was working from home, would have noticed clearly. So he must know something. I knocked on the door of Dan's study where he was working. He always tells me not to disturb him while he is working, but since it was an emergency situation, I had no choice. Hearing me knock, I hear Dan's voice through the door saying,
"What the hell?"
I feel like some of the things in our house had moved around.
"Well, my mom was here earlier. Can I go now? I'm busy right now."
As soon as I heard what he had said, I had a very bad feeling. No way. I panicked and headed for the bedroom right away. Then I reached my hands into the back of the closet. Oh no, it's gone. The ring, which my mother gave me, is gone. I unconsciously let out a scream. Then Dan came into the bedroom, probably because he heard me scream. "Dan! My ring! It's missing! What shall I do? Where did it go?" At my words, Dan then said,
"Oh, yeah. About that ring. Well, Mom took it. It seems like Justine wanted it, so I gave it to her. Justine was supposed to come and get it herself, but she asked my mother to get it because she wanted to go to the beauty salon."
Dan began to say this as if it was nothing to worry about. Dan must have known that the ring was an expensive gift from my mother, so how dare he give the ring away without asking me? So I told Dan exactly what I was thinking. Then Dan's face turned bright red and he raised his voice.
What's wrong with you? Don't complain to me when I'm the one who feeds and provides for you.
This is not the matter of whether you feed and provide for me or not. I'm asking you why you gave the ring away without my permission. When I responded in a stronger tone than usual, Dan became even more furious and shouted,
If you complain anymore, I'll divorce you.
At that moment, I just lost my patience. Why must I be treated this badly? I could not remain silent any longer. Fine, then let's get a divorce. I won't let you do what you want to me anymore. So I began to take out a piece of paper I had kept in a cabinet in the living room and began to sign on it. When I returned to the bedroom, Dan looked like he didn't know what to do. Here, these are the divorce papers. These are the papers when you signed it before and threw at me when we argued before. I'm going to go submit this now. Well, good for you. Now we are complete strangers to each other. Dan had made a fuss about divorce before, threatening me saying, I'll divorce you, on our previous argument. At that time, Dan brought the divorce papers, filled them out, and tossed them to me. The crumpled divorce papers. I couldn't throw it away, so I kept it. But I never thought that the day would come when I would actually use it. Then I left Dan, who looked like he was in a panic, not knowing what to do from this helpless situation, as I packed up my belongings. The things I needed to bring with me weren't much, and my suitcase was smaller than I had expected, and I was ready to leave immediately. Well then, goodbye. Please live happily with your mother and sister whom you love so much. As I said goodbye, I left the house. I thought I heard Dan call my name on the way out, but it was too late for that. Then I went to go file the divorce papers. And after, I decided to return to my parents' house. A few days passed. While I was watching TV at my parents' house, my phone rang. I picked it up immediately, but it hung up before I could answer it. Then I got another call. On the screen, I could see that Justine was calling me. While I was wondering whether to answer the phone or not, it hung up again. Then I received another call from Justine. This time, I was able to answer. Yes, hello. What's wrong? You finally picked up. What do you mean, what's wrong? I've been calling you 1,000,000 times, so why didn't you pick up earlier? The loud, piercing voice hurt my ears. Then Justine continues. Well, hurry up and help me. The police are at the party. Just come over here anyways. That's all she screamed to me, and then she hung up the phone. So I got ready quickly and ran out of my parents' house, and I drove to the party venue where Justine was at. I knew where it was without asking. Oh, Nora, you're so slow. Hurry up and explain to him. Justine was waiting for me just after I got out of my car. She pulls me by the hand and I follow her. Justine opened the door to the banquet hall loudly. And there, I saw people whom I've seen before. And that was because they were holding a middle school reunion at the venue, and it was the middle school where I went to. Actually, Justine and I were in the same class when we were in middle school. Of course, I had been invited to today's reunion, but Dan did not allow me to attend at the time, so I couldn't RSVP and go to the reunion in the end. I looked at the policeman, as Justine called him, and he was smiling awkwardly at me. And his name is Hugh, and in order not to let Justine escape, he moves in front of me. He's accusing that I stole this ring from your house without permission. That's not what happened, right? Nora, you gave this to me, right? Right? Justine held the ring in front of my eyes, and it looked like she was begging me to help her desperately. Of course, there was no way I would play along with her. Your mother came into my house and took this ring without my permission while I was gone. And you are wearing it without my permission. I never allowed you to wear the ring." Justine bit her lip in frustration. But it looks like she still won't let go of the ring. "If you give it back to me here and now, I won't make a big deal out of it. If you don't want to do that either, then you'll know what'll happen, right?" When I said that, Hugh took one step forward to Justine's direction. Perhaps intimidated by the power of Hugh, who's really tall, Justine finally took off the ring and handed it to me. "Ugh, God! You could have at least given it to me. You're such a stingy, cheap woman." Hearing what she had said to me, apparently it seems like Justine has not learned her lesson yet. Well, if that's the case, I have an idea. I took a deep breath and spoke as loudly as I could. "Oh, is that what a person who took the $5,000 ring without my permission should be saying? Maybe we should go talk to the police together after all. Oh, and of course, your husband should be there too. I know you're living separately with your husband after a huge fight you had, but I'm sure he'll fly out right away to see what happened, right? Good for you!" My voice was pretty loud enough, and everyone in the hall was staring at us. Justine, who had attracted the attention of not only her classmates who were around her, but also those at the edge of the hall, seemed to be really embarrassed at what was happening. Her face turned bright red, and her eyes were all teary. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and said, "This is terrible," and ran out of the banquet hall while hiding her face. I hope she will reflect a little on her behavior and attitude now. I felt a little bad to have spoiled the reunion as everyone was enjoying before this happened. I apologized to my classmates and left the venue. Then Hugh said to me,
"I'm glad you got your ring back."
"Oh, I'm so sorry, Hugh. I'm sorry you had to help me with all this just because you became the police officer." Indeed, I knew in advance that Justine would surely wear the ring to this reunion. Justine had told me that she would wear the ring when I called Dan to inform him about filing the divorce papers. If Justine regretted not wearing or returning this ring at the reunion, I would not have embarrassed her in front of many people. But since I wasn't there, I had no idea what was going on inside the party venue. So I contacted Hugh, who is now a police officer, and asked him to call Justine. Actually, I was supposed to get a call from Hugh, but it was unexpected that Justine called me when Hugh approached her.
"Oh, don't worry about it. Oh yeah, why don't you just go ahead and attend the reunion? One of us has left, after all."
Hugh explained the situation to the people who organized for the reunion and got permission, and I was finally able to attend the reunion. I felt like I was back being a middle school student again and had a great time. Sometime later, Justine seemed to be too embarrassed to stay in her hometown, and before I knew it, she had moved out. I thought she had gone back to her husband, but apparently not. I don't know where she went, but in any case, she and I will never cross paths again. Justine must be actually very disappointed that she can no longer stay at her parents' house, which she loved so much. And Lauren seems to be quite shocked by her daughter's disappearance as Justine left without telling her where she went and her son's divorce, and is now living a lonely, sad life. This is what Lauren and Justine deserves. Oh, and my ex-husband contacted me the other day. He said that he wanted to start over with me.
"I never had any intentions to divorce you."
He cried to me over the phone, but of course, there was no way I would ever get back with him anymore. Dan couldn't do any housework at all, so I'm sure he feels horrible on how he treated me and how grateful he is of me when I was with him. A mutual friend of ours told me that when she happened to see Dan at the supermarket, he was wearing a crumpled shirt, looking exhausted, and had a large amount of frozen food in his shopping basket, so there was no doubt that Dan was regretting what had happened between us. Seeing how dirty and exhausted he looked like, it seems like his neighbors were also making rumors about him. I hope that Dan, Justine, and Lauren will reflect back to what they had done. As for me, on the other hand, I was able to get a job as a nurse, just as I did before I got married. Despite the blank period I had of being a nurse, I am doing my best now, and I am very happy to be able to be involved again in a job that is so rewarding. I may have become a divorcee, but I'm the happiest in my life right now. And I learned a lot from those 3 people, to not be with those kind of people and be ever like them. I also definitely learned that you can't live a good, happy life if you do things that other people wouldn't like, or if you envy other people's things. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.